It wasn't pretty, but it was a win for Cleveland. Juan Brito is going to get his shot. And could Gavin Williams continue to dominate with his Jekyll and Hyde outings on today's Locked On Guardians?
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's a day that ends in Y, and that means it's time for Locked On Guardians, your only daily Cleveland Guardians podcast that covers your team every day, from the majors, the minors, the draft, and everything in between. And we are so glad that you're here with us to talk about another Guardians win that, again, wasn't very pretty, but it was a win. And this isn't the BCS. There are no style points. I'm Justin Lada, one of your two co-hosts. If you're new here, been for the last 4 years now with my friend and co-host Jeff Ellis, who is the OG of this podcast and baseball at the Locked On Podcast Network. And we've both been covering the minor leagues for the Guardians, the draft, and whatnot for 19 years. Jeff, we got to talk about how the Guardians own the White Sox in 2026 already, despite the fact they haven't even played a game against each other. That's coming up later. We'll also look ahead to Game 3 against the Royals. We'll talk about Gavin Williams and if he can be an ace with his up and down control. We got to lead off today's show talking about Juan Brito's chance, the first walk-off win of the year. I'll take a walk-off win. Those are always fun. You'd sure like to have cashed in on a couple of other opportunities in that game when you had the chance. The Guardians hit the ball hard. They just didn't have a whole lot to show for it. So a little bit of bad luck. But the nice thing is Gavin Williams, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but he walked, half of Cuyahoga County in this one, but he was able to stay out of trouble. And the bullpen did enough, and the offense came around just at the end. And like I said, there's no style points. It's a win or you didn't.
Yeah, I was half tempted there to grab the rally dyno. I did not, because it doesn't really feel like it's a full-on rally. It feels like, they tied it up late and then had the walk-off. I don't know if that counts in terms of a rally dyno.
Walk-offs are fun.
They're fun.
I didn't realize this, but Progressive / Jacobs Field has the second most walk-off wins in baseball since Progressive Field or Jacobs Field opened in 1994. Did you know that?
Here's the thing. It doesn't surprise me because the team's been good consistently. Like, you have to get walk-offs by winning, and we talked about it over the last decade. They've been one of the top 4 to 5 teams in terms of wins. Sometimes people try to make it sound like that's not like impressive or interesting, but I think it's a really solid thing and something that they have been, by constantly being successful and winning, you set yourself up in those situations to be that team that has had all of those wins.
Yeah, you had the 90s that were filled with walk-offs, but yeah, it just feels like every year there's always so many walk-offs. I can never keep track, but yeah, the fact that we're 20, how many years is this 20? So it would have been 30. We're 32 years. Is this 32 years of Progressive Jacobs Field, 1994 to 2026? Did
I see recently it's like the 6th or 8th oldest park in baseball now? Like that it's
getting up there, yeah. But I was there opening day, and I was there Monday in the freezing cold, and got to tell you, it doesn't look like a ballpark that's over 30 years old. It's continually maintained. That's one of the nicest things about this organization is that I know the taxpayers also are responsible for paying some of that too. So let's pat ourselves on the back for that a little bit, at least here in Ohio. You're not, Jeff. Jeff's not contributing anything. He's not on the payroll. He's not even contributing taxes to the ballpark. So what are you doing here, Jeff? What would you say you do here?
I would say I
do TPS reports. TPS reports.
I would say, according to most people, all I do is sit here and act contrarian. So that's my contribution.
So fun walk up by Brayan Rocchio. We'll talk about that in a second. But Juan Brito, I want to talk about Juan Brito because some people were like, well, why did they call Brito up instead of Bazzana? And I hit the easy short answer to that is that he's on the 40-man roster. He was the next in line to get a shot. And given how, not that I'm like going to base a whole lot on stats going early on, but like there's things Bazzana could continue to try to like ramp up on and get better at. And just overall, his performance early in the season has been kind of meager, but it's early. But I think you want him feeling good about himself. And we have no idea how long Gabriel Arias is going to be out. Tom Hamilton seems to think it's going to be a while. But Brito's on the 40, and Brito would have been up here last year had he not gotten hurt himself. So it made sense to bring Brito up. Just you don't need a 40-man roster move, and he's ready to get a look. And it's important to get a look at him before you bring Bazzana up, because when Bazzana does come up, he's playing second base, and you're looking for ways to play Brito if things are going well. And right now, there's a very easy fit at second base for him. But I was pretty impressed with his first couple of bats. Like, he hit the ball hard both times from the right side, which, in the minors, he was not necessarily a great hitter from the right side. It was mostly a lot of damage from the left side. So I thought his at bats were good. He chased a little bit out of the zone, but not like terribly. And he showed like some barrel control because the balls he hit were hard. I thought he looked very comfortable. Like, I don't think you could tell it was like his major league debut. He looked like he fit in the lineup right there.
No, I agree. He just kind of stepped up, and I thought played well. It was only the one at bat where I felt like he chased a change up low. But I mean, if we're gonna get mad at people chasing low change ups, then we got to start with Jose. So it's more a situation where the double is a great way to lead off. And for people being like, why isn't it Bazzana? It comes down to 40-man situation, because who are you going to take off? We've talked about this before. They're not going to flip
fodder right now.
They're not going to move Peterson. So like, we're getting to the point where, like, if you're adding someone, is it Halpin? Like, who is the guy who is the low man? It's a hard situation because they have so many guys on the roster where, it's I don't even know who the low man is. It'd be Peterson to the 60-day, but they don't want to do that. So I don't even know who the next lowest guy is. They've now cut all of the Ninkazis and the Rodriguez's, and there isn't a lot of space. So honestly, it's like cutting Kobe Allard. It's probably the rostery fodderiest person left. So yeah, it's a hard situation. And I think, also you want to give it to the guy who has earned it. And if not for health, it would have been him a year ago, and he actually recovered and had a solid spring. So I think it's well deserved. Bazzana will get his opportunity. I have no concerns there.
And at some point, like, it's so early, and we could talk about Manzardo and Rhys Hoskins in this one too. But like, if those guys need a break, or they need a day off because they're struggling or something, you can move Brito to first base too. So he can play a couple different positions. He can also play the outfield. Not that he's great at it, but like, he's got experience there. So you can, let's say you want to throw another right-handed bat in the lineup, or another left-handed bat in the lineup. Either you can maybe take Kefis out, or I don't know. Like, it gives you at least options, even if the defense isn't great. But I thought his at-bats were pretty good overall. He looked like a guy who, didn't look overwhelmed in his first ever major league appearance. So good for him. And the at-bats were good. He didn't stand out like a sore thumb defensively, like you worry about what that's going to look like. There's going to come a day where that defense is going to come back to hurt him. It's inevitable. But as long as you don't think about it, or you don't have a memory that stands out of a play at a game where it comes back to bite you, then you don't have to worry about it. Like, you just really want him more to be like a kicker or a offensive lineman at second base, where he just he makes the plays, he does his job, and you don't notice it. Like, it's when you notice it, it's a problem. That's what happens with kickers and offensive linemen, or I should say long snappers, right?
Yeah, or even it's going to be that part where
relievers or closers. Yeah.
It's also just going to be that part with that infield in general, with the way it's set up right now. It's going to be like the first time there's a bang bang play, they don't get at first base. So the first time Brito makes a brutal play, like it's going to happen. He's got some, Louis Arrays defensive skills at second. So it'll happen, but you're hoping that he'll hit enough to make you forget about it and not fixate on that. And
I got chewed out a little in our Discord by a couple of listeners who did not like my mindset on Brayan Rocchio in the ninth inning there, or the 10th. It was ninth inning, yeah. Because he had a ball. I think it was pitch number 1 or 2 that came by his phone. He fouled off pitch number 2. It was pitch number 1 that almost hit his foot. And I was like, Rocchio hit by pitch in the foot wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because you get Quan back up, even though he didn't have a great day. He had a hit. And then Rocchio has been delivering the game-winning hit, which good for him. He's had moments throughout his career where he's had some big hits, like October. That's why I call him Rocktober. And then last September against the Rangers. Like, he's had some moments in his career, but I don't know. Like, I have not come around onto the faith of offensive Brayan Rocchio. Like, it's fine as a 9-hitter, but I don't know if I'm necessarily like going to believe that he's the guy who's going to come through in the clutch. We'll get some more on Rocchio's walk-off. We'll talk more about Gavin Williams and whether or not he can keep up an ace-like performance with this many walks coming up on the rest of today's Locked On Guardians.
Hey, this is Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds, and when it comes to our futures, we all have great ideas when it comes to our job, when it comes to our house, when it comes to our vehicles, all that great stuff. But honestly, when it comes to securing that future, I don't know what I don't know. And when me and my wife sat down to figure out the life insurance thing, Ethos made everything simple. Everything's online, you have a quick and easy application process, and you find out exactly what you need for coverage all in one spot. Ethos makes everything so convenient when it comes to learning about your own life insurance, because insurance is something that is far beyond batting average or on-base percentage. It's way out in left field for me. Ethos made it all easy. Take just 10 minutes and get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times may vary and rates may vary.
Thanks for checking out today's Locked On Guardians. If you never miss an episode of the show, you might want to check out the Everydayer Club. Baseball is back, and we are giving you a full month free of the Everydayer Club if you go to lockedonguardians.supercast.com and you use the code word finally. You unlock ad-free versions of the show on audio. You get access to the private listener group chat over on Discord, where we were talking about the game, and we were talking about the minor league games on Tuesday night because the Guardians played a day game. So a lot of people are tuning into all the minor league games. We were going back and forth about that. So hit the link in the show notes. Use code finally. Claim your free month of the Everydayer Club. So, Jeff, I mean, I know people weren't like happy with me. I don't know. I'm not really sure how I feel. Like, again, it's too early to sit here and say like what is or isn't going to happen this year. But like Rocchio's, like, if you look at the data, like, yeah, he doesn't swing and he doesn't strike out. He doesn't swing and miss. He's walking, which is nice. I'll take that. But offensively, there's like nothing really in the profile where I'm like, well, like the best you can say this year is he is chasing a little bit, but he's been drawing some walks and he's not swinging and missing. So like, that's fine. And I guess he's fine for a 9-hitter who you're mostly counting on for defense. But like, I know people were like, he's been fine. He's been better than certain guys this year. And that's fine. Like, he's been okay, but I don't know if I'm ever going to come around at this point for Rocchio to be like a guy where he comes up in a situation like that. I know he's had his clutch moments, but I don't know if I'm ever going to come around to him being an offensive guy that is someone you're like believing and are counting on in a situation, you know?
Yeah. And like, I dove into the numbers to kind of talk about it when I saw people going after you a bit. And it's like, when he came back last year, he was better, but he still had a 94 WRC plus. So he's below league average. With
I'll take 94. I will take 94.
I will, but that was with a 320 BABIP, and he doesn't hit the ball hard enough nor run well enough to maintain a 320 BABIP. He's going to be closer to 300, which means his actual like WRC plus is probably closer to, in the 80s instead of in the 90s. And then he's good in high leverage, but he's pretty terrible in medium and low leverage. Like, for his career so far, like the data is not good in those situations. So
is that something we can even sit there and say like is repeatable, sustainable?
I mean, that is the debate, right? So that's one of those things. I didn't bring that up in the chat because that's one of those things that's like a big debate point. And the other problem I'll say right now, people are gonna get mad because they're burying a guy after he had a big hit, but like, on his return last year, his defensive metrics were poor. So far this year, his defensive metrics are poor. His arm is weak. And the other concern I have just going forward, it's like I've talked so much ad nauseum on the show. People are going to be tired of it. But we talk about like the 4 profiles to success as a hitter. He has part of one of those profiles. He doesn't whiff, he doesn't K, and he walks. But the problem is he still chases too much. And that chase rate being where it is means he's not in that Quan. Sorry, anywhere. And I just smack my microphone. He's not in that Quan class. He's not in that Alex Call class. He's still a bit of a tweener. He's a young guy. There's still some opportunities. But he has 842 at bats. He's got it's just funny to me the number of people who want to throw over Gabby, who's been about equal to him, but with better defensive numbers and in the same number of at bats. It's Gabby, Rocchio, and Naylor are all three guys who have not done enough to be given anything at this point. And we're just kind of waiting and seeing. Like, honestly, I look at Rocchio and Arias, unless Arias can really maintain some of his changes. These guys are filler. That's what we have. We have a filler state with defense. You're hoping Hanau and Bazzana in the next, year and a half are going to be the answers at those positions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Like, I don't want to denigrate Rocchio too much. He was the hero. He came through in this game, got the hit. Like, it was a. His exit velocity is actually up a little bit this year. It's in the 63rd percentile, which is a lot higher for him than it ever has been.
His hard hit is still low.
Yeah,
it's actually. I think his hard hit's actually down, which is more important than exit velo. I think over the
true, because that's But he got the win, and that's all that matters.
Yeah,
like
today he's the hero, and that's all that matters. And he's solid for what he is. He
is solid for what he is. That's a fair for what you can for a guy that you're hoping can turn the lineup over to the back up to the top of the lineup. That's fine, and he got the game winning hit, and then those are
on a good team. He's a utility backup type. Like that's the truth of it.
Yeah,
on an elite team, I should say.
That might be where he settles in eventually. Whenever, like you said, all those things. Also, I probably want to point out too that like that inning doesn't happen without a couple other guys like CJ Kapis gets the hit off of John Schreiber, and then I said, "Wow, do you want to take the bat?" I couldn't believe I said this, but I said, "Do you want to hit the bat on Austin Hedges' hands because he had been having good at bats?" But Bo Naylor walked, so when you have the Kapis single and the Bo Naylor walk, that set up Rocchio. So that the hit's great. You got to get the hit to score the runs, but those guys set that inning up in the ninth after they were kind of turned away all day. They had 8 hits and they had 3 walks. So 12 base runners. If you count the error, right? There was an error. So 12 base.
Yeah, there's one error earlier. To me, when I was just kind of looking at it, I wonder if they went with Naylor because Schreiber was kind of struggling and they just kind of thought, oh, hey, like we can go ahead and maybe potentially get this guy on. Maybe he's gonna be the guy who's more likely to get on base via the walk, like because the nice thing with the walk there was it pushed the runner to second, so there was a chance to go ahead and get that run across that there might not have been otherwise. So I thought it just kind of set them up well. It was like just kind of a nice play in that regard where him just reaching base allowed the Rocchio hit to turn into something bigger. So I was. Yeah, I understood why they went there. I'm still not fully buying on Austin Hedges' man of mystery breakout. So, he
had 2 hard hit balls today. Okay, listen, he had 2 hard hit balls today. He had some good at bats. No, I don't know either. It's better than what Rhys Hoskins and David Fry did today, and Bo Naylor walked, which is great. Yeah, so we'll have to get to that in a future episode. The other thing we want to get to today too is Gavin Williams and 8 strikeouts. He had a ton of whiffs. Like he racked up 10 whiffs in this game. Not as much as he had against the Dodgers, which is interesting. I know people are going to say, "Oh, you're being negative. They won the game. They're doing great." Like I just wonder, like, is this going to be our destiny with Gavin Williams? Is it going to be like one game he looks like he's a Cy Young, and the next game he does enough to win the game because he doesn't allow anybody to get him hits off him because the stuff is so good. But you get the games where he walks 4, 5, or 6 hitters, and then some of those starts it's going to come back to bite him. Luckily, it was cold in this one, and he did overpower the Royals, except for Carter Jensen, who, that ball again got out in a hurry, like it did on Monday night, which is crazy in the weather. But like Gavin's stuff was still pretty good. Like the sinker, I don't know if you saw that one clip on Pitching Ninja, but like the sinker he threw, I forget who was up, Jonathan India, had 23 inches of arm side run. Like that ball looked like it hit a wind tunnel. Yeah, it looked like it hit a wind tunnel and just backed up. And I was like, how are you supposed to hit that? Like it was a called strike, and nobody whiffed at the sinker today, but like it got him 9 called strikes because it comes back over the plate and it's a 95, 96 mile an hour sinker. So like it's just Gavin Williams, like one at bat, he just looks like he can get anybody out. Like he looks like he could strike out, 73 home run Barry Bonds. And then the next at bat looks like he's going to walk, Niger Morgan or something.
Yeah, it's interesting because he is a little home run prone as well. I don't say that as a negative. We just know that. And eventually these walks we know will come back to haunt. If you're leaving guys on, walks always come back to haunt you. It's the rule of baseball. So the walk rate is totally unsustainable with that level of success, in my opinion. Maybe you'll have some counter examples we come back from break. I'm not saying he can't be good with that walk rate. I'm saying performances like today where he was fantastic are rare when you have that type of walk rate, at least in my estimation.
Yeah, I'll be very curious to see what his FIP in this game alone was 5.29, but the ERA was 1.59 because he was walking almost 8 per 9 innings. I do have some examples to throw your way, Jeff. If Gavin Williams ever can be a Cy Young candidate with these levels of control issues, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about game 3 with the Royals ahead, as well as the Guardians beating the White Sox in a trade that actually wasn't a trade. We also got some minor league stuff to dive into. A lot of interesting thing happened in the Guardians minor league system on Tuesday night because April baseball, let me tell you, is not for the week. That's coming up next. You know what else is not for the week? Waiting for tickets or paying for tickets to events when the price jumps at checkout. Nobody likes that. That's just not fun. Baseball season's back, and we know the fresh starts are fun. A lot of big expectations. We're looking to go see Chase DeLauder. We're looking to see some of the big matchups. You don't want to be waiting in line for tickets online. You don't want to be paying weird surprise fees at the end. That's why you want to choose Game Time, because it's the app that gives advantage back to fans like us. You unlock amazing tickets in a few experiences in a few clicks, and you're getting the Game Time guarantee. So the price you see is the price you pay. There's no surprises at checkout. You get a chance to see what your seats look like before you buy them. And you can wait till the last minute too. Like, again, Cleveland weather. You don't know what it's going to look like. You want to go to the game last minute. You can check on there. The NBA playoffs are coming up. You might want to look for tickets on there. I know my wife used it for some concert tickets because they were very high priced, but she made sure she got the best price by using Game Time. You could take the guesswork out of buying MLB and any event tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create the account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us as always and making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is that you are getting podcasts. Shout out to the everydayers, shout out to the insiders, all the commenters, everybody in the Discord. Again, sticking with us for wins or losses, whether they're day games, they're night games, they're cold games, whatever it is. We appreciate each and every one of you. So if you're not one of those people and you want to be, hit the bell on YouTube. I did a video on Juan Brito's call up on Tuesday morning. You could have gotten that notification sent to your phone to tell you what I expect from Juan Brito, and the reaction video to the win, as well as all of our episodes. And if you auto download on all the audio platforms that we're available on, which is literally all of them, you'll always keep the show in your feed too. So if you miss a day, you can go back and listen. Jeff, so Gavin Williams, right, this year it's going to be a higher than a 20% walk rate after today's stats get factored in, because he's had 2 starts now where he's had a combined 14 walks. That's super fun in 17 and a third innings. 25 walks. I think 17 innings is what he has this year, but the strikeouts are good too. Can he be a Cy? I'm not even saying win a Cy Young. I'm saying be a Cy Young contender. I don't think Ubaldo Jimenez ever won a Cy Young award, but in 2008 and 2009, this is a guy who threw almost 200 innings and had ERAs in the mid 3s, in the high 2s. And obviously he had that one good year with Cleveland in the second half of 2013, where he parlayed that into a big contract. So is Gavin Williams destined to be Ubaldo Jimenez? Or is he destined to be maybe Robbie Ray? Robbie Ray has a Cy Young award to his credit. And, he's run walk rates in his career in the 13% range, the 11% range, as high as 8. It's almost 10 last year. If Gavin gets to that level, that's still pretty high. But that's, those are guys that have won Cy Youngs. Like I said, Robbie Ray. There's Rich Harden. Rich Harden had a career where obviously he was hurt a ton, but Rich Harden had a really good career. One of our insiders pointed that out actually, but he was constantly a guy who was running walk rates in the 4 per game. And then Francisco Liriano for years was a really fun pitcher to watch, but was also a guy who kept walking 4 batters per 9 innings. And obviously he never won a Cy Young, but like, is that who Gavin Williams is? Are we going to get like Kerry Wood some days? And then some days we're going to get Ubaldo Jimenez or can he be Robbie Ray, where there is maybe a Cy Young somewhere in there?
I mean, with just kind of the rate of the game anymore, it feels like that's kind of a hard thing to do. I'm not saying it can't be.
I should say Cy Young win. Sorry, I should say like garner Cy Young votes somewhere on the ballot.
I feel like it's going to be really hard for him to get there with a high walk rate, because we talk about the importance of FIP and how it's this great predictive stat and like how it's kind of the best one for that. And he's ran some pretty terrible FIPs because we all know how negative the walks are. It's not just that you're putting guys on base, it's also that you're sitting there and facing it's eating up your pitch count, which leads to guys being less effective. It means you're turning the lineup over more often. It means you're facing they're better hitters more often. It does not set him up to be successful. It's working in a small number now. I just can't see it being, extended success. I mean, his walk rate right now is over 7 per 9. Like that's just, and that's, walk percentage is more important than walk rate, but over 7 is kind of crazy. And even last year, his walk rate, it got better in the second half, but he had a 4.46 for his career. He's at 4.35. Like that's kind of the high end of acceptable. The other side of it is his strikeout rate has never been higher at 12.74. So he's doing some things well. There are some positive traits with this. He's just being so wild, I guess, that guys don't know what's happening. He's having a hard time.
Wild, right?
Yeah, he's having a hard time. I feel like his stuff is playing up even more than normal. Like I don't remember. He's always had good velocity, but like, was it against the Dodgers and even Seattle? Like the number of 99 pitches he had felt a little higher than what I was used to seeing with him at points. So, we'll have to see where it goes. I definitely think, that in the other side of it too is his BABIP is a 115, career 267 BABIP. So everything is working for him right now in terms of the luck stats. And that's why, but again, if you go back and listen to this offseason, I did a whole thing on like Gavin Williams and how all the luck stats were in his favor last year too. And then like his success in the second half was because, nobody who reached base scored, and he had all of this other data that's like, okay, well, this is concerning. He's just continuing it though this year. So it's the whole,
he controls his own luck.
It feels like it. He's that put in the comments below, who's that Marvel character who's just the one who's like super lucky, is basically their mutant power. I can't remember.
Don't ask me, boy. I'm not going to know that answer.
That's what it feels like right now. Like it's just everything tilts his way. So it allows him to be successful with that. But I think the walk rate will normalize. I think that'll get better. I think a lot of stuff will normalize, and the stuff and everything we've seen is been excellent. So he's got a chance, I think, to get Cy Young votes, even just because I expect improvement from what we've seen so far this year.
Yeah. The other guy we got to talk about, you had the great comment yesterday about how the White Sox decided that they didn't want to roster Payton Pallette, but
didn't want to put him on their 40-man of all things. Like, come on, you're not a good team. You got room.
But now they're claiming Doug Nikhazy. And I am one of the original Doug Nikhazy truthers. You can attest to this. I was a Doug Nikhazy when he came out of college. He was one I enjoyed interviewing him in Lake County. He was part of that group with Gavin and Tanner and Doug, and I know they were all really close and loved feeding off each other in terms of pitching knowledge. And I know Gavin and Tanner really respect Doug for his pitching acumen as far as like knowledge and all that kind of stuff. But the guys never, speaking of guys that have never been able to have control, Doug's never had control. And the velocity just came down from college. I just can't get over the White Sox have decided, well, we'll put Doug Nikhazy on the 40, but not Payton Pallette. And I know he gave up the home run on Monday night, but man, I said it like the first week of the year. I think there's a chance sometime in September, Payton Pallette could be a guy that Stephen Vogt could count on in leverage situations. I like the stuff. I think the fastball has plenty of IVB to it. He's got a sneaky good curveball. I think Stuff Plus really likes his slider. Yeah, the curveball's got a 112 Stuff Plus. It's early. I like it. Like I think there might be some home run issues in there, but I think he's already given up 2. But like he's not walking guys. I know it's low leverage, but this is a guy I still think can work into high leverage situations, and I just can't get over that. The White Sox didn't think enough of this guy, and they thought enough of Doug Nikhazy.
Yeah, it's a really interesting second round that year because like it led off of Dalton Rushing, Hunter Barco, another lefty, Parker Messick, Payton Pallette, Jacob Mizorowski, Chandler Simpson, Jacob Melton, like a lot of guys who Roman Anthony was one of the last second rounders that year. So a lot of guys who have been successful already from that 2022 class. For those who don't know, the quick rundown is Payton Pallette was heading into that year considered by many the top college pitcher in the class of 2022. And then he got hurt again. And, Kumar Rocker ended up being the first guy off the board. Cade Horton was next. It's like, it was not a great pitching class. Like Gabe Hughes was a guy that some people considered the best arm. Like it was kind of crazy when 3 college arms went in the top 10 that year. So it was a very weak class, but like Pallette was very well thought of. He was very well thought of by a lot of people, and he just struggled with health. And, that's what I talk about on the show. You can never go wrong taking a well thought of player who the White Sox failed to develop properly. Like that is just, that you're batting 100 with that. It's always funny to me how that works out. Or batting 1,000, not 100. 100 it'd be the opposite. But batting 1,000, it's certainly a better pick than Robert Moore, son of Dayton Moore, who went a few picks later as well in this draft. But it's just a weird situation that because with Nikhazy, I mean, I know it's a 40 man and he's a lefty, but Cleveland decided, hey, Pallette's good enough to make our top 26, and we're a playoff team almost every year. And the White Sox are like, he's not good enough to make our 40 man. They didn't even have to add him to their active roster. They just had to put him on their 40, and they didn't do it. And didn't they lose 2 pitchers in the rule? I don't know. Like the new front office can't be any worse than the old one, but my goodness, it was a weird choice. Well, I would trade Pallette for Nikhazy any day of the week.
Their GM, Chris Getz, when they traded for Luis Angel Acuna from the Mets, he thought Luis Angel Acuna was a switch hitter. He's not. Yeah. So I don't know if you could say their GM can't be worse because he didn't know which side of the plate the guy he acquired for Luis Robert bats from.
He used to be a switch hitter, in fairness. It just apparently hadn't read. Okay. I believe he was a switch hitter and then stopped doing it. So it's like he read the report from when he was like 18 and hadn't read anything since. And it's like, when you make a trade like that, the GM
you have to know.
Has to know. So that was interesting. But it's always interesting with the White Sox.
Let's have Angel Martinez talk to Luis Angel Acuna about not switch hitting anymore. Didn't really have a whole lot of time to dig into this stuff, but I will say Hunter Gaddis and Andrew Walters both rehabbed for Columbus tonight in Worcester. It looks like Worcester, but it's Worcester. I still can't figure that one out. They both will look good. Gaddis was only up to 93, 94. He wasn't the velocity wasn't there. I will say it was freezing up there. He looked okay though, and he gave up a hit and a strikeout. Walters gave up a walk and I think a hit and a run. He was up to 94 as well. He had a lot of swings and misses on his fastball. The IVB on it was really good. So good first outing back. They're both on rehab stints. George Valera had a good night. He's still on a rehab stint. The Guardians had said they want to build him up to like 5 or 6 days a week before they call him back up. He's technically on a rehab assignment too, so they don't have to use an option on him, which is good. Big nights from Angel Henao, Ralphie Velasquez, Franklin Gomez, who I watched. I don't have time to dig into it today, so I'll have to do it in the future. Jeff, what do you think? Game 3 here, Joey Cantillo and Cole Reagans. The Guardians starting pitching has held the Royals in check. I mean, it was the bullpen on Monday. Gavin was great. The bullpen was good in this game, and Cole Reagans is a tough customer. We'll see more Rhys Hoskins. He's got to get it going. We'll see David Fry again. I'll be curious to see who catches. I wonder if Fry will catch and Hoskins DHs. Maybe you'll see Manzardo back as the first baseman or DH. I don't know, but it'll be an interesting game. Joey didn't do well with the changeup in the cold in Seattle, but he pitched really well on opening day in Cleveland. But another lefty versus lefty matchup. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's always weird because Joey's got reverse platoon splits. So they do have a lot of righties they can deploy. Very righty heavy team in a lot of regards. So I'll be curious to see. Like they'll put in all the righties, but that actually might play into your favor. Like Vinny Pasquantino might be the guy who's most likely, to do damage. I know Bobby Witt is struggling just like Jose is, but I'm always going to be afraid every time that dude steps to the plate. Doesn't matter.
Yep. Oh yeah. I'm just waiting for him to burn them.
Yeah.
You probably see Lane Thomas in this one too, who is only platooning in KC. So they told him he was going to play more in KC, and that's not happening. It is what it is. But Cole Reagans is a tough customer, so I have a feeling it's going to be another low-scoring game.
Yes.
And then that's good for the Guardians because the Royals' offense isn't good either. So check back tomorrow. We'll have the recap of Game 3. We are going to do a mailbag this week because there's a day off, and we'll also preview the Atlanta series ahead.
Thank you all for joining us, and go Guardians, go.